Good evening, everyone. I'm moderator Jeremiah Walton. This is my interviewee, Nathaniel Whitmire, and our topic for this podcast is on Air Force ROTC, or Air Force Reserve Officer Training Course. And we are filming out here at Solano Community College. So, Nathaniel Whitmire, we are both cadets at Air Force ROTC Detachment 085 at UC Berkeley. So what's your rank? What do you do at the detachment, and what's your year?
Yeah, so my name is Nathaniel Whitmire. I'm a cadet first lieutenant at UC Berkeley, Detachment 085. I basically am a DFC, Deputy Flight Commander for our detachment for one of our flights, Charlie Flight, as you are a member of. And my job is to basically help out our commander lead a flight throughout the semester, which that entails leading them for different situations or doing drill, as well as having different war games inside the semester to help them prepare as being an officer in the United States Air Force, which is such an awesome position to be in.
Sounds very fun. So for any college students or even high school students about to become college students, if they're interested in wanting to commission into the big Air Force, how would they go about it?
Yeah, so there's different ways into getting the big Air Force. There is ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps. There is the Air Force Academy, and then there is Officer Training School. ROTC, I think, is great because you can just be a normal college student and also gain a pathway into becoming an officer into the Air Force. So you can do different clubs, you can still enjoy your normal college life, and you don't really have to sacrifice any of that to become an officer. Meanwhile, if you're going for the Air Force Academy, it is a prestigious area to be in, but you aren't really having the normal college experience. At an officer training school, you have to already have a bachelor's degree, so you aren't even in college at that point. You're doing other stuff at a later point in life when you're trying to become an officer in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm. So say a high school student wants to join ROTC in their freshman year. So how would they go about it? Like, where would they even start?
So just to clarify, high school student freshman year.
Yes.
So if there is high school student, you can do JROTC, which would prepare you for different aspects in the military life. However, you don't have to be in JROTC to do ROTC. I've never done JROTC. My first military anything was in college ROTC. But if you wanted to, you can do JROTC. There's also Civil Air Patrol, which takes civilians and they introduce them to different aircraft and different Air Force possibilities, as also being a civilian or being a young person without being in college. But if you're in high school and you want to join the United States Air Force, I recommend doing good in your high school, getting a good GPA, doing a bunch of different extracurriculars, so that sets you up so that when you get into college, you can do ROTC.
Sounds perfect. All right, so now let's say the high school student has finished high school. So now they're about to enter their freshman year of college. So what's their first step into joining an Air Force detachment?
Great question. So if you want to take that first step into becoming an ROTC cadet, I recommend finding your local detachment. For us, that's Detachment 085 at UC Berkeley. And what's beautiful about our detachment is that we have something called a crosstown agreement. That basically is that if you're a community college student or just at a state school, you can commute to UC Berkeley so that you can become an ROTC cadet. You don't have to be a UC Berkeley student to do that. If you want to find more information about your local university, you can also look it up online, or if you know different cadre members or ROTC cadets, just talk to them about it. They'd love to introduce you to their own detachment and their own culture when it becomes a ROTC student in that different cadet life.
Definitely. So once a potential candidate to join Air Force ROTC has spoken to cadre or looked up information online, say they fill out a form, so now what's their next step?
Yeah, so let's say you find that cadre member or that ROTC cadet, and then they introduce you into finding a form, you fill it out, and then now you're just waiting. There's probably going to be new student orientation, NSO, and then you go into that university's lobby or whatever classroom, and then the cadre members or higher level ROTC members will come out, they'll introduce ROTC to you, and they'll give you a timeline into what ROTC will look like, your medical history, what they'll teach you in different ROTC platforms, such as being an officer in the Air Force, and then what they expect you to do when becoming a leader in that position, and also just being a leader in normal civilian life, which prepares you a lot for that military position.
Definitely. So after new student orientation, what's next for a freshman or a sophomore that has joined into the first year of ROTC?
Definitely. So when you're a freshman or even a sophomore, your number one position is to be learning. You basically want to look up to your sophomores and then other or upper level ROTC cadets and always be learning something from them. They want to be able to see that you're adaptable, are able to roll with the punches, and then you can take more from that. So that when you get to your sophomore or junior level of ROTC, then you're able to actually lead people from that upper level position. Also, when you're a freshman in ROTC, it's better to just get on it when it comes to filling out deadlines, such as with your medical priorities, also with taking tests that the Air Force requires you to take.
Mm-hmm. So the first semester, so they're introduced to something called DODMERB. Would you like to elaborate on what DODMERB is?
I would love to. So DODMERB means the Department of Defense Medical Exam Review Board. They basically look at your medical history. What you're supposed to do is that you're supposed to submit your medical history to the Department of Defense, and they review what your case is. So if you're healthy and you're staying fit, you shouldn't really have a problem getting through DODMERB, although it does take a while. So a lot of people actually drop from ROTC because they don't get it done right away, and then they don't have enough time to complete it. So if you're healthy and are able to complete the forms and upload it to the Department of Defense, I recommend getting that done as quickly as possible because a lot of people do have problems with their DODMERB. If you do have an issue with your medical history, upload it anyway. Try to be as honest as you can. And then if you need to, you should be able to get waivers and different types of appeals when it comes to your specific medical history. That might include, for example, asthma or like ADHD. If those are severe or you have a previous history of that, you would be able to get an appeal or a waiver. At least hopefully that would be able to work out.
Definitely. So after sorting out DODMERB, what else is in there for a first year GMC or General Military Course Cadet?
Yeah, so another thing is staying in peak physical shape. There's something called the Physical Fitness Assessment, PFA. You take that about every semester at least once, and if you can't pass it, you take it again, I think twice or 3 times, so that you're able to prove to the Air Force that you are physically fit. If you aren't able to do the PFA, you should be able to have some sort of appeal for that as well, but it looks good for cadre, which is basically the officers who are leading the ROTC detachment, but you are physically fit and that you are able to keep up with standards. And it just comes down to standards most of the time, if you're able to follow them, and not only if you're able to meet them, but surpass them. You don't want to only just be hitting the bar, you want to keep on surpassing the bar, keep on doing better so that you are competitive for these different jobs in the Air Force.
So with the PFA, could you dive into a little bit of what the PFA looks like for some, because everyone at some point in their life has done physical training, such as like high school PE, for example. But what is the PFA?
Definitely. So the PFA on paper isn't that bad. It's about 60 seconds to prove how much push-ups you can do, 60 seconds to prove how many sit-ups you can do, and then a 1.5 mile run, which they also time. Depending on how fast you get it done, you get a higher score or a lower score on that. Although it isn't that bad on paper, some people do have a harder time with it because they don't work out like that or have enough previous history with working out, so they do have to reach that position. However, it's not impossible to get there if you don't have much working out experience. It just takes a lot of dedication and a good schedule to be able to do that.
Definitely. And for persons that are not, let's say, physically able or not in the peak physique that they should be in for taking the PFA, do you have any recommendations for those people so that they can improve and stay within the program?
Definitely. So that is a thing in our detachment as well. There's some people that aren't able to complete the PFA. We recommend reaching out to the upper level ROTC cadets or people in there that are physically fit and passing the PFA and asking for advice. What do they do to be able to do that? How are they surpassing it and meeting or just going above the bar when it comes to those different levels? And also just having a schedule again for yourself and making sure that you are improving day by day. Because being able to improve is hard. Not everybody can do that. But it's just taking it one step at a time, and over a month when the PFA does come back again, you will be surprised how much you can improve in that 1 month.
Definitely. And then I remember at one point, one of our higher level, one of our seniors provided information about the 3-1 method. Do you recall the 3-1 method?
I don't actually. Yeah, I don't know.
So to recall, the 3-1 method is a very useful trick that got me more into physical shape as well. So the 3-1 method or 1-3 method, I'm not so familiar with which version it is, but the tactic is that the max amount of like push-ups or sit-ups that you can do, like let's say you could only crank out 30 push-ups or 30 sit-ups. For that method, that ratio, you would do 1/3 of that max for a minute, and then you would take a break, and then you would repeat that for 2 more minutes. And that way you keep doing that almost every day, like 5 days a week. It will help build up your strength for push-ups and sit-ups. Because personally for me, it has definitely helped me a lot, because at the beginning of my ROTC semester, like at the beginning of it all, I was only able to crank out like 22 push-ups for a minute because I was very unfit back then. But now entering my second year of ROTC, almost with the semester ending, I'm now able to crank out almost 55 push-ups in a minute. So there's definitely a big increase from 22 to 55.
Definitely.
Definitely, I do believe that the 1-3 method works, as well as just keep running.
Running is a tough one, especially hitting that 1.5. That's something I have a struggle with. I'm doing better on my push-ups and my sit-ups, but the run really is setting me back right now. But what's great about what you just said, which I love hearing, is that you did follow a certain method or like a schedule, and then you kept on doing that. And it sounds like now you're hitting new highs, which is awesome, right?
Yes, and definitely other methods work better for other people, but I believe that the 1-3 method works just the best with most people, just because of how effective it's proven to be. And then with the run times, cardio in general is a hard exercise to do, but I believe from my experience, because I'm in a way used to this, so weighted running for me is very beneficial, as well as endurance running. But do you have any advice for anyone that wants to improve on like their cardio for the PFA, or even just cardio in general?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to running more. Also staying in good shape. Once you reach an injury or you hurt yourself, it's really hard to recover back from that, because you just don't work out for a little bit and then you kind of set yourself back some more. So staying healthy, being careful what you're doing. And for me, because I need to work more on the run, I run more. If someone need to work more on the push-ups, getting into the push-up position, doing more push-ups, or if you can't really do a push-up, doing another exercise that would simulate a push-up would help out. Same thing as sit-ups too. So for myself, I'm trying to run more, trying to just take it down a couple seconds at a time. And it's really, sometimes it's only cut it by 1 second, which, sucks in a way. But at the same time, it's nice knowing that I did shave it down by 1 more second, and over a period of time, if I do that every single day, that is going to get me somewhere. So it is taking it day by day and then working on that specific form that you need to do.
Definitely, because every inch of progress, even if it's just like a few seconds off your run time, it matters so much, because it's building up your system, your endurance, so you get better times over time. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to knock it out all at once.
There you go. Maybe you should lead the PFA next time when we come out.
Oof, I think Branko has that. He can do that.
Maybe he can.
Our PT director can handle that.
Indeed he can.
Mm-hmm. So aside from the PFA, what's the other stuff that happens in the ROTC detachment? Like, what else is covered at NSO?
Yeah, so PFA, when you are being scored for your entire ROTC career and what they specifically rank you for field training or for going for PSP, physical fitness is one of them. Also, it is your commander's ranking. So interacting with other people in the program is super important. It's not really a position where you kind of go in there, clock in, and then clock out. The cadre and other people, they are specifically looking at you and seeing what you do in your free time and how you interact with the different students or cadets in ROTC. So if they see that you come in on a certain time and then you clock out, you don't talk to anyone, they're gonna take note of that, and they're gonna know that you don't really have that investment when it comes to someone else who, when they come in the program, they say hi to everyone, they're very approachable, and then after LLAB ends, they're able to talk to people and then also do other stuff inside the detachment. So commander's ranking is definitely one of them, and just being a good leader in that position. Also, it comes to Air Force testing as well. There's something called the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test, the AFOQT. They basically weigh different positions that you would be in when you take a test. Similar to the SAT, they weigh your pilot score or different rated scores, air battle manager, combat systems officer. And if you aren't going for those, there's also non-rated categories as well. It's not that hard to pass the minimums, but if you are going for a rated position or anything that flies, you would want to get higher scores. Something in the high 80s, high 90s would be competitive for those positions.
Interesting. Yeah. So in regards to commander's ranking, like how is it tiered for cadets? Like how would they know like they're doing good or they could improve?
That's a good question. So for our detachment, I'm not sure if it varies from detachment to detachment, but we do it on a thirds basis. So your top 1/3, middle third, and then bottom third. If you're doing well, middle third to top third is doing good. Bottom third means that there might be some stuff you might really want to improve on. But if you want to get noticed by cadre or higher ROTC leadership, it's again just interacting with the community more, doing well in your testing and your PFA, and then just practicing those leadership capabilities, which would really push you in the long term.
Definitely. And so with being noticed by cadre, like how would they evaluate you for commander's ranking?
Sure. So again, it just comes back down to if they see that you're interacting with the people around you, how you're leading in small groups, because when you're in a flight, that's maybe 15 people, maybe more, but usually 15 people for our detachment. You want to be able to see that you're doing well in those different positions.
Interesting. All right. And then for our last topic as well, just to end off with a big piece of information. For GMC that want to transition, that want to continue, like they've dedicated their time, they want to continue their time in the Air Force and eventually become a second lieutenant and commission. What is the big part of ROTC that they need to focus on the most?
That is an excellent question, and I'll try to sum it down to a couple of words here. The ultimate goal is becoming an officer. And that can be hard to remember when you're in ROTC. You're trying your best to be the best cadet that you can be, trying to talk to people, trying to get your fitness up, trying to get good test scores. But in the end, if you have bad leadership capabilities and you are a toxic leader, that's going to harm you in the long run, no matter how well you do in ROTC. So your number one goal should be trying to work on your leadership capabilities so that when you become an officer in the Air Force, you're able to lead competently. And sometimes there isn't competent leaders in the armed forces, which provides bad habits and maybe inevitably gets people hurt or killed. And in order to prevent that, you're trying to become the best officer you can be, which is what we're practicing right now at ROTC, specifically at our detachment, UC Berkeley 085.
That sounds great. All right, again, thank you for coming out here to Solano Community College. I'm moderator Jeremiah Welton, and this is my interviewee Nathaniel Whitmire, and our topic was on Air Force ROTC. Thank you.